Okay, hello. I would like to talk about some issues with the Arch Linux installation guide. So, in general, it's a really good guide and it's way better than most of the distros out there. Um, but it has still some issues, and I will be mostly comparing it to Gentoo because this is the distro I use and it's another type of those do-it-yourself distros. So I think it will be a fair comparison. And of course, I don't think Gentoo is perfect, but I'm actively working on making it better. I'm getting better as well in using Linux or whatever. I'm not a Linux noob anymore. And so, okay, the first thing you have this introduction, so it's I do not have anything to it, and then the first issue is actually in the very beginning because it's about acquiring an installation image. So I would assume you know how to download stuff from the internet, so it's not a problem. But it also tells you to download a GPG signature. Um, and what do I think about it? Well, if you have Linux, then yes, you should be doing this, and it is a good practice to verify with GPG. But if you're new to Linux or you are maybe you don't care about it, then you shouldn't do it, and it should be clearly marked as optional, but it isn't. It tells you to acquire both the ISO and the GPG signature, and then it tells you to verify it. Of course, we can verify it, so let me download the signature, and I will show you that verifying works even if you are not on Arch, because on Arch you have this easy pacman key command. So let's see. Let's download the PGP, and let's go to OK, and then let's copy this command. Oh, sorry. And now it will be verifying it. And as you can see, there's some warnings, but the most important thing in anything in Linux related, you want to be reading everything. And so I know what to look for, and I need to look for here, and it's a good signature from this guy. It's of unknown trust because I didn't add it. I did not add it to my keyring, but it's an okay signature. And so this should be clearly optional. If you have Linux, it's as easy as pasting the command. But if you don't have, then it's a bit more difficult. You would have to like get some stuff on Windows. So yeah. Then you have the prepare an installation medium, so that's I think everybody can do it. You have a really nice article on this here, and it tells you all the things you might want to know. You have Windows, you have Linux, you have Mac OS, so you can prepare it on anything. Then it's about putting the live environment, and here it's a really nice note. I actually like it in the beginning. Um, and then there's a bit of an issue. Of course, you need to be reading everything. Even if you do not understand, you need to be selective. So if you have prepared a USB with an ISO, then you read things which are relevant to USB and ISO. Also here this tip, I think it should be more like a verify if you have this, because it's not really that needed, and new users or users not really in the Linux administration stuff might not know what systemd boot or syslinux, like why are we talking about this so early on. So use E or tab to enter the boot parameters, so you already have like some advanced kernel stuff. But these steps are pretty much good, and here they tell you how to switch to a different virtual console, so that's good. And if you know about Linux, you can see the package list, what's on the distro. And well, that's it. Now I will boot my own environment because I had already flashed the ISO onto a USB drive. So I will be doing the installation on my laptop, which is a UEFI machine. So I will be showing steps for UEFI. I think UEFI is the most representative of everything which is out there. And why am I still talking? Because I want to show one thing, but I won't. Okay, so I have it on my laptop now, and I'm still recording because I want you to, I think it will be audible. This is, I think, one of the most shitty things about Arch, so I will now press enter to boot, and I think it will be, you can easily hear it. Yeah, it is a really loud PC speaker sound, but now I am booting into the system, so it will take some time, and I will set up the recording and we can continue. Alright, so I have it booted here, so we can clear maybe. Okay, so what I have like an SSH connection, so a lot of, so like 2 or 3 steps will be irrelevant, or whatever, but I will still talk through them. So like this, setting the console keyboard layout and font, this is actually really good. Although setting the font, you not always know about fonts, and those fonts mostly are terrible. So I think the default font is alright on Arch. It's small, but if you will be installing, you have to read anything anyway, and well, unless you have bad vision, I think for me it's even okay from like, I don't know, 40 centimeters. I can still see it from my screen, so I think it's okay. Then you have, I think, the most shitty step ever to exist. So this is verifying the boot mode. It should be right before partitioning the disks, because it's relevant there. Here it's just thrown out of like nowhere. Of course, it has some implications now, but it really doesn't fit with the console keyboard layout. It doesn't fit with the connecting to the internet. It doesn't even fit to updating the system clock. It only matters when partitioning the disks, because you have a UEFI partitioning and BIOS partitioning. But also, I think you might want to actually check the boot mode to check if you are booted properly. So I will now do cat sys firmware fw FE FW platform size, and I'm 64, so that means I'm in UEFI. This also here is a bit convoluted here with how to read it, although maybe it is okay, but for people who have the attention span of a TikTok child and they need like Subway Surfers running here on the side while installing Arch, then this might be a bit too confusing what's here. Also, if you're not really that much into Linux yet, and then it might be an issue. But it explains if the command returns 64 or 32, and then they should then they should put, if the file does not exist, the system may be booted in BIOS. So this should be earlier, because then you have some useless information. Why this is supported, it will limit the bootloader choice. So this also should be before the bootloader, and there should be like a really nice table. There is, but it's not on the main installation guide. So this is an important step that you have to memorize, and I think you would memorize it easier if you did it with the disk partitioning where it really matters, but then you would also check whether you are booted in the desired mode. Okay, then connecting to the internet. So I personally recommend just plugging in the cable. So here you connect to the Ethernet, plug in the cable, Wi-Fi using IWCTL. And my main issue is with Arch, that what they do not provide network manager, which is like the go-to software for connecting to the internet, and it's really easy to use. It has a nice interface. No, they put IWCTL. Of course, it's not too hard to learn, but it isn't intuitive with the commands and all of that. Whereas on Network Manager, you just use arrow keys to select your network, and then you press enter, type in the password, press enter, and you are ready to go. And so then we can verify actually pinging Arch Linux. I know it works because I'm connected to the internet. And so it pings, so it's all okay. Alright, then we can go to updating the system clock. So it should be updated, so let's see. And it says it's 7 a.m. And what's the issue? Well, it does not have my time zone entered in, and the system also, like, the time zone is double shifted to the left on the system clock, because the system clock uses I think UTC. I don't know. I will talk more about the system clock later, because it's not really that well explained during the installation guide. You do not need to have, you know what, only it would be concerning if you had like the minutes wrong. The hour, there are time zones in the world, so the hour can differ. And it was important that the system clock is synchronized, and yeah, that's it. Then is the partitioning the disk, and this is generally a good thing what they have here, but the partitioning tool, so they recommend fdisk. Fdisk is a CLI utility, and it is good. It has a lot of options, but sometimes too many, and also it's again not really that intuitive. So I recommend CFDisk, which is, I think, Curses fdisk, which has a nice interface, but let's first list the disks with fdisk L. And so what I have here, here I have dev SDC, which is the USB stick I have in my laptop with the Arch ISO. Then I have this dev SDB, which I have my old Linux installation on. And then I have SDA with Windows, so you can easily tell that because you have Microsoft reserved, Windows recovery, and all that shit. So what's here, I will be showing how to dual boot your system. And so that's why I won't be removing Windows, I will be removing Linux. So after having this fdisk, make sure you know what disk you want to format. In my case, it will be SDB. So, and use CFDisk. Do not use fdisk. Well, use whatever you want, but CFDisk is way better. because it has here a nice interface. You move with arrow keys and you just press enter on what you want. So let's move here and let's delete. Let's delete and more. Okay, so we have a clean drive, and now here Arch actually gives us really good example layouts. So we will be formatting with UEFI. So we check if we have label GPT. This is one issue with CFDisk, is that if you have wrong label, if you have maybe BIOS or MBR here, then you have to use actually fdisk to change that. But anyway, let's do this example layout. So the first partition, they suggest 1 gigabyte. I suggest half of it, so 500 megabytes, something like this. That's because if you're not doing like any custom kernels, or like if you're doing only for your home use, this is enough. Then swap space, at least for the swap space has, I don't think it's here explained how much swap you want. No, there is no how much swap you want. So this is another thing with Arch, they don't give it to you. I don't want to go and search it online now, but if you have an 8 gigabyte, if you have 8 gigabyte, 8 gigabytes of RAM, you want to have 12 gigabytes of swap. And let me quickly check if you have 16, then how much swap I do have. So 1, 2, and I have also 12. So I run 12 gigabytes of swap for 16 gigabytes of RAM. And so I will do 12. And then the rest of the drive will be for this. Okay, and then this dev SDB1, you want to also change partition types. So just as they showed it on the tables, and then you want to write and quit. And so the disk is now synced, and if you do fdiskl, you can see here the partition table is just as we have done, and it's like here. Then those mount points are for later, so maybe remember them, although they will show it later. So then formatting the partitions, and again here they should really show about file systems, what file systems are available. Arch promotes ext4, which is a bit old. There is like a nice file system table, which file system is good and which should not be installed. So like NTFS, you shouldn't install Linux on Microsoft stuff. So here you have ext4, Btrfs, or bcachefs. Use anything you want. I will be using XFS. It's tested. So let's and of course I had a previous installation, so I have to overwrite it. And then there is the rest. So make swap and then okay, so we have the stuff formatted, and then it comes to mounting. So again, this is explained also well, so I will just do it. Okay, and with the file systems mounted, we can go to the next step, and here, select if you read. This should be marked as optional, because if you read on the live system after connecting to the internet, Reflector updates the mirror list, so you do not need to do anything because Reflector is a nice thing which retrieves the latest mirrors from the Arch Linux mirror status page. So I don't think there's much to fiddle around, only if you have like some specialized internet setup where you cannot do this, so you can edit this manually, but this should be marked as optional. Then install essential packages. I think we should do like, I will get the command ready and we'll talk about the packages. Okay, I have prepared the command. So here you have like install essential packages, so you have like some information what this does, and then the substitute in the Linux with a kernel package of your choice. Um, and you could omit the installation of the firmware package. So this is a good tip, except they do not tell you that if you use a different kernel package, things might not work, and this is all entirely up to you. I recommend the normal distribution kernel, which is Linux, and that's it. So here they give you information about everything you might want to install, so definitely read it. The most important is the microcode, so mainly two CPU vendors on the planet, so AMD or Intel, so you choose between these two, and then you do user space utilities for file systems. So if you remember the file systems page, it had this table, and here it has user space utilities. So if you have a file system of ext4, you have this. If you have XFS, you have this, and like for every system. Then it talks about other specific firmware, so you might want to read it on your own because it will differ everywhere. Then you have software for networking. So you go to the networking page. So here up, and then you scroll to the big table again, and you read which software is the best for you, of course. So you might want to use IWD or DHCPCD. But honestly, if you're installing on a laptop or for home, then I recommend Network Manager because it has everything and it's really easy to use. And I think it might even become the de facto Linux standard in the future, but who knows. And then text editor, so Nano is the easiest. If you have never used the console for editing, then Nano should work. And then the man and info pages. This is not necessary, but if you will be doing stuff on the console, then for sure use this, or at least install man pages and mandb, because they give a lot of like software which has a command line interface, will have man pages which you can read to know how to use the software. And so that's exactly the software I have here. So what they gave me, and then the stuff I was talking about. And then in the end I have DOSFS tools, which is also handy to have, and NTFS3G, which is also handy to have, and really important if you want to dual boot with Windows. And so after this you can just press enter, and this will synchronize the repository and will start downloading. So see you after this finishes. So with that done, then it's time to configure the system. So I do not have like any issues with what's here, except the time. So of course set the time zone for yourself, but then actually the time synchronization, this I will show how to set up later. And like everything here up to the bootloader is really well explained on the wiki. You just, if you want, you can read the links and see what you might want to change with this. But generally, what you have here is good. So yeah, let's do. Mm. Okay, and with that done, it's time to proceed to the bootloader. And well, it has a few issues. This is like the first is that you do not get an article, you just install a Linux capable bootloader. So we get a separate page, and so here we have the bootloader. Here we have the comparisons. The default one would be grub, like the most commonly used one. There is also FESTAP, which you might want to use, with, and it is a good one also. And I know people use Lilo sometimes, but it's not for UEFI farmers, so it is not used. So I will install grub. So let's go to the grub page, and here we have like a big guide. But first, install. So you want to generally read all of this to understand everything, how to do stuff. But if you want, I will do it now quickly. So and then there is a big there is like a thing which I would say is the worst about Arch. So remember these optional dependencies that you have Fuse Free and OS Prober. And so for dual booting, you want to also get OS Prober. So OS Prober. You get this and you do not get anything, any information. But what's the issue? That OS Prober does not work without Fuse Free. So you also need Fuse Free, and this is really important to get it. And now this should be these should be the packages used for dual booting, and so you can then follow the guide. Also it's important to check if you have the boot directory and if you have it populated. And if I do ls boot, then I see I have initramfs and Intel ucode, so we have the kernel installed. So there is no issue with the kernel. Sometimes you might see that you do not get anything here inside, and like the kernel is installed somewhere else. Then you need to troubleshoot it yourself. I actually don't know why it happens. Usually when it happens to me, I just reinstalled the base system and it worked. So then so here again, if you have like a lot of options, I usually skip them, but you can like use TPM keys. You can add other stuff, so like encryption, and if you want it, you can of course read it. It's not an issue. And here you can set it up for secure boot if you want. This is also explained here, and if you have a BIOS system, it's explained how to install grub also. So yeah, everything is really good in this article. That's why grub, I think, is the better option with the bootloaders. But then it's about generating the config. So I will copy the command, but before it tells us to edit the etc default grub. So and here you can also read everything which you want to do. I will just disable this quiet, grab default saved. Here. So I remember a lot of the config, so I don't need to read it, but of course, as I've said, read everything. So after saving, we can paste the command. Okay, so of course, the OS prober won't find Windows yet, but as you can see, it ran, so everything is good. And then after installing the bootloader, it is time to reboot and see if the system works. So yeah, let's do this. Let's unmount. And well, let's do a reboot and let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm back on the system after a restart, and the thing which I forgot is to enable Network Manager. So systemctl enable Network Manager. This I should have done before, but this is the simple command, and it will and after reboot you will get networking working. So then what you would do, nm2e and then connect to the network. Okay, and then with this you are booted back. So let's go to the general recommendations, and here you have a okay. So for the sake of this video, I have broken the first thing they show here, but in general, after installing ART, you want to do all of these steps, and they are well explained. You just need to read these. The only thing which may be bad is like this GUI thing with the display drivers and all, because the only thing you need really is to start installing a desktop environment, and then everything will be pulled in automatically except the drivers. So this display server will be pulled automatically if you pull KDE, GNOME, whatever. And well, after this, I think Arch is installed, and everything which I had to say about it, I have said already. So yeah, I think we can end on this note. There's like only stuff with creating the user left and installing the basic software. One last thing. So let's maybe create a user. Let's see how they suggest creating a user. Every distro has it differently. Let's add Archie. And then let's give a password. And well, there is a thing where sudo on Linux, it's not here by default, so you need to download, but I do not recommend sudo, I recommend the doas. It's basically sudo, but it has less features, and well, honestly, I have never seen the features of sudo be useful. Maybe I'm too low skill, but for a home usage, doas is more than enough as sudo. And so what you could do is to do ln, and here you have a target and link name. So ln s target is bin doas, and link name is. And then if you do sudo, you have the link to doas, so this can overcome your boomer sudo behavior. Then with that, then you want to configure doas, which is like really easy. Nano etc doas.conf, I think. They don't give you the thing, so this is what I was talking about, man doas. And here you have mandoas.conf, and here you have like what you want to put in there, so you can read all of this, and as you can see, the configuration is really easy. So permit Archie, and that's it. And then if I change to Archie, I cannot run, let's say, Pacman as NVIDIA. I cannot run, I didn't even write it properly, but I need to be root. So I can do sudo pacman as NVIDIA. And it asks me for the root password, so just like sudo. Okay, and so, well, this is almost all. I will just come back to root and grab my config, because I'm logged back in to the system, so now it should detect my Windows, and as I can see, it found Windows Boot Manager now. So next time you restart your computer, you should have Windows available. And well, the last thing is to set time date ctl, and as you can see, by doing the time sys to hc, time is synchronized, so you have local time here and you have here. System clock is not synchronized, so you can set the synchronization. I don't think it's here. It's actually in the user guide. So if you come back, you have here how to set up systemd timesyncd. So how to do this. So you can, well, we can do it now because it's so easy. And then if we do this, we have the synchronized clock. So it will pull from the internet what you want. Then RTC in local time zone. This might break with your Windows, and I honestly do not have the strength to do it. I think here, no. Somewhere here is like the dual booting with Windows. Oh, here. So they show you how to set up if you have some weird issue, because now in Windows I will get this time, so 2 hours earlier than it's necessary. That's because Windows is a fucking joke. But yeah, with this, I think we can end it finally. I've said everything I wanted to say, and well, now editing awaits me. And yeah, so thank you for watching.